let's welcome Fung from UK and Toru from Singapore. And yeah, so let's get started. So.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm Fung.
Hello, Fung. Hello.
Yeah, Toru, you're muted.
You are having experience Android developer for almost not enough.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't realize my mic was muted. Sorry.
No problem. So everything's fine right now. We can hear you clearly.
So maybe Fung and Toru can talk about what Android projects or topic you have recently studied or working on. Maybe Fung first.
Oh, I think maybe even before that, maybe we can ask Fung and Toru can give a bit of introduction about themselves.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, your time.
Okay, of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Wonyoung Choi, as known as Toru in the web world. That is my alias as well as my English name. And currently, I'm working for OCBC Bank based in Singapore, but I used to work in Malaysia and Korea as well. And nice to meet you, everyone. This is my first time to introduce myself to Hong Kong people. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, I'm Fung. Yeah, I think it's me again for every year in DevFest or in other GDG events. Yeah, I was one of the GDG organizers a long time ago and joined Google 1, 2 years or 3 years before. Now I am a developer advocate in Android. So yeah, you could ask me questions about Android. Yeah, use the comment on the right.
Yes, please feel free to leave some message if you have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's continue on what Emma has just said. Emma was like trying to ask what are your, probably maybe we can start with Toru first. So what are your thoughts on the latest development of Android, or like what kind of features that you feel like it's worth exploring or worth discussing?
Okay, rather than mentioning about the specific projects, I would like to say what I'm interested in. With the rise of Kotlin, especially Kotlin coroutine, so I'm interested in some frameworks using coroutine, for example, view models or other things, or even HTTP libraries such as Retrofit or whatever. And also coroutine, as well as coroutine. Also, I'm interested in using Flow and here the dependency injection tool, which is a simplified version of Dagger. And finally, and lastly, I'm interested in also how to write the Kotlin code in more Kotlin way, beyond the Java way.
So it's also a good question because maybe many developers have already write the Android app in Java for years, and now most engineers will start to change to, or already started to change the project and transform the project to Kotlin. Yeah, Kotlin, but Java and Kotlin is quite different, although they are also will compile to the code that can run on the JVM, but I think the mindset or the thing how to design the code is quite different. So you can't just only use the IDE function to convert Java to Kotlin, but you also need to redesign your code. So can you share some experience or some difficulty or some tips how to do this transformation?
Okay, for the case, honestly, my current project as well as my previous project was almost 100% written in Kotlin. But before that, I also used to work on Java project, but I tried to adopt some Kotlin features into the Java-based project. So rather than using the IDE function, like convert the Java file into the Kotlin, but rather than that, I chose to write the code in Kotlin first, although there's more close in the Java way. Yeah, because I thought the most important thing is to be familiar with the Kotlin language first. So even Kotlin and Java both run on the JVM, so it is 100 compatible. So that means you can use Kotlin code and Java code as well, in vice versa. So I would like to suggest just try to write the code in Kotlin first, and gradually can increase the coverage with the Kotlin from the Java.
Okay, so seems Fung also got something to share. Like I've known Fung for too long, way too long. Before right now we have Android 12 or Android 12. Right before that long ages, we have different sweeties or dessert names for those Android. I met Fung back in those times. So I mean, as a very experienced Android developer, like what would you encourage those developers or engineers who have been like very stuck or not necessarily stubborn, but they just have no motivation or no time to kickstart their exploration or investigation in the Kotlin world? Like, what would you feel like as a developer advocate in Android? How would you persuade or how would you suggest them to take the easy path? Like, or is there any easy path to go?
Well, yeah, as Emma mentioned, there is a tools in Android Studio to help you to convert a Java class file to a Kotlin file. This conversion is not perfect because after the conversion, it is just like writing Java in Kotlin, not writing Kotlin in Kotlin, but still it is some way for you to understand the Kotlin language. And afterwards, you need to spend some time to know what area or which which lines of code I could rewrite into pure Kotlin. Like I have to read the documentation, for example, the Kotlin collections is a bit different with the Java collection framework. But if you have played with it, then you know how you could improve your code using the Kotlin collection. And by doing this step by step, you could first convert into a Java Kotlin file and then to be a Kotlin file. And then eventually you could convert your whole project into Kotlin. That is a step-by-step conversion process, also a step-by-step learning process.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like using built-in and built-up list instead of array list.
Yeah, with the Kotlin document, then you will know what APIs you can use and read more Kotlin use case, so you can think in the Kotlin way. So maybe move to the next question. Other than the Kotlin, anything you want to share first? I know Fung have something to share.
Yes, promotion time. Actually, in December, we announced so many things. We have the announcement of Android 12. We also announced the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. We also have the Android Dev Summit. In Android Dev Summit, we also have some announcement like Jetpack Compose and Jetpack Compose on wearables. And also Android 12L, a version that is designed for larger screen. Because if you in the market, there are some foldable devices like at the same time it is a phone, and at the same time it is also a tablet. So I know in Hong Kong there are so many applications. They split their application into three different packages: one for the mobile, one for the tablet, and one for the TV. But now the border between mobile and tablet, or even we could run Android apps on Chrome OS, and we have the multitasking, multi-screen feature on this large screen. So actually, on a foldable, on a tablet or on a laptop, you could have a tablet UI. You could also have a mobile UI because you just adjust the window size. At the same time, it could be a phone, it could be a tablet at the same time. So I think it is also time for developers, especially in Hong Kong, to rethink how they should build their application, how they should build the application for the user using these devices, especially on large screen or on foldable sets. A device could be having mobile UI or portrait UI and landscape UI at the same time.
Yeah, I think that actually makes a lot of sense. Actually, to be honest, I mean I'm not really like knowledgeable in the Android area per se, but I'm quite surprised that Google actually did roll out Android 12L with the focus on like. I mean, I would expect L stand for large device or large screen device, right? So, like, how do you envision like? I mean, as like, I'm not sure if you should talk about it. I mean, I'm not sure how much you can share, but like, how do you feel like that developers can take advantage of this release of Android 12L to extend their support for foldable device or even for tablets and TV?
Okay. So before Android 12L, when you are running an application on tablet, so this application usually dominate the whole screen. Although you could have multi window or adjustable window size, but for the user or at least for the user, they do not have an easy way to switch between different applications. Of course, because the hardware is not powerful enough at that time. But at the same time, for developers, because most of the time user is your app is dominating the full screen, so there are some common mistakes like the developer thinks the window size must be equal to the screen size. That's not true. So sometimes their layout is not rendering correctly because they assume the wrong resolution or the wrong window size. But with Android 12L, we have some new API to help developers to identify, what situation my application is currently in. Of course, Android 12L is still in DP, so we may have more API or the API may be still changing, but we provide more API to the developer to adjust the application. At the same time, we provide some features for the user. So if you see the videos on YouTube, now we support multitasking. You could drag and drop the app icon from the taskbar to the main area. So you could have different application or switch between that different application. This multitasking, of course, when you have two windows side by side together. Usually people will think about drag and drop. Yes, drag and drop were supported a few years ago, but now this is another chance or another critical timing for you to think about, should I implement drag and drop in my application? Because usually on the phone, you only have one application on your screen, but now you could have two applications on your screen and make drag and drop a more meaningful use case in the case.
Okay, okay, got it. So and a follow-up question actually. So with the of course, it is not like completely like a public or stable, not stable, but official release. But like, how would you envision the introduction of 12L in supporting like multiple windows within the same application? Say for example, multiple instances within the same application. Like, I may actually want my Gmail, say for example, to run side by side. So on one side or one panel or one window, I'm seeing my overview or my inbox. On the other side, I am actually writing my email as a draft. So how do you feel like this may help, or does it help in this regards?
I think that there are two things. One is for a long time, we support fragment. There is something that can do by fragment, like having a left panel of the overview of my inbox and the right panel is the compose. But at the same time, I understand currently in the market, so still many applications built on so many different activities, not built on many fragments. So they may want to have applications start two different activities. So one is the overview activity, one is the compose activity. We understand this And in Android 12L, we will be supporting this multiple activity from the same application. This is also more for the use case like foldable, because for foldables, you could entirely open the foldables. You could be also semi-open. If semi-open, you could know the width of each side. So at the same time, you may be having an activity of the overview, and at the same time, you may have the activity of the compose. Well, if you want to switch, you could just switch one of the activity to another. Like I have the overview plus a WhatsApp or a Facebook Messenger, and then I convert back. Not so I could still keep part of my application active, rather than I have to switch completely from application one to another.
Okay, that's really something that, I mean, even before back in the time that I was writing for Android application, the part that I struggle is like, when should I go with fragment? When should I go with activity? But that long time ago. But right now, probably there's a more clear answer of which direction should I go if I want to support multiple modules within the same display.
Yes. I remember in Android 12L, if your OS is Android 12 and your device screen size is which specify a large screen, then your application, you cannot stop user to resize your window. The user can pin the multiple app in the same window. So in the past target API, the app you can always declare your app is not allowed to be resized or multiple applications show in the same window. But now in 12L, it is many changes that developers need to handle it, because you cannot stop the OS to do it anymore.
Maybe I would say it's more like Android. Maybe it's bad to say, but it seems like Android is taking some control that the developer can have before in previous versions. So then, as a developer, I mean, even me as a developer, if I'm a developer, I need to tackle, okay, what if multiple applications within the same screen, what would the layout, what would be the just like HTML, just like web pages, right? So you have the CSS, but the layout will go around if you have different components. So maybe we can also ask Toru, in your developer experience or in your life with Android, how much time or what kind of precautions that you will make when it comes to UI layout, just those issues or those items that Emma has just mentioned?
Oh, yeah. So in summarizing your question, what can I do for the new release of Android SDK? But my phone is still uses old SDK. So how can I tackle that problems? Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. It's quite hard. Yeah, hard to answer though, because I think I haven't encountered these issues, but I think it is unavoidable thing. So we need to create or modify our UI layer. So it takes some effort to modify the code and also arrange the widgets in the XML. So so it's quite by now it's quite hard to calculate the proper and correct time. But as long as there's no changes in the other layer, rather than UI, so it needs to be some effort which is not able to calculate. But yes, so you need to see the SDK first to come.
Yes, for every Android release, we have some behavior change. Some of these change are target SDK gated. That means if you do not update the target SDK, your app will behave the same, but some changes are not Target SDK gated. Sometimes
Yes.
it is related to security or privacy. Like if in the previous version of Android, you may be able to access the MAC address of the device, but in the newer version, now you could not access the MAC address. So there are some changes that are not Target SDK gated. Yeah, this is usually for the privacy and security, and this sometimes this may break some apps because the apps may not handle the like if they query for that MAC address, it return a all zero or it return a null value. If the developer do not handle the null value, it may throw an exception. So it may break some apps, but well, we still want to see the developer to adopt these changes to update their code so to protect the user's privacy or security rather than just letting it target SDK gated. So as long as the developer still, yeah, I'm still targeting SDK 21, so I'm not affected by that change. So they could be still accessing your MAC address. That's a trade-off. So we think security or privacy should be more important. That's why some platform change or behavior change are not target SDK gated.
Oh yes. Yeah, once the latest SDK is released, then we need to see how it works after upgrading the target SDK, and it need to start fixing. So during the processes or during the work, so then there should be a lot of changes, especially like permissions or securities or other behaviors, whatever. So need to be more considerate.
Yeah, in Android 12, if the user don't use the app for a few months or how many days, then the app will be put in the state that its background job and background schedule job will never can run again, and all permission revoked is already introduced in an Android 11, and now they even can't receive the notification when the app cannot receive the notification. It is a nightmare for most product manager and our boss. No push notification because they are very they think the notification is very important to reach or to remind their client.
Yeah, I think you talk about product manager, which is my area right now. So as a product manager, we actually kind of like struggle like how frequently should we get in touch with users, right? So to me, I mean personally, not as a product manager, but to me personally, I kind of hate notification because I don't feel like a lot of apps has its notification done right. So I actually can't quite precisely filter out like what kind of notification I wanted to see for this particular app, right? So what should I? Okay, so like if I'm doing an exercise, like I'm using Fitbit or I am using or using Strava, right? So of course, the easiest way is like if you can actually detect I actually I start to move quite quickly, then you can assume that you can push me a notification and ask me for confirming whether I am like in a run, right? But if the notification is just about, hey, how are you doing today? Can you just log something? Then I actually don't find it quite useful. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we can move to a happier topic. We can talk about the Jetpack Compose. So it's a very hot topic recently in an Android development. So do you think Jetpack Compose will be the feature, or to those who not know Jetpack Compose very well, could you introduce about a little bit about the Jetpack Compose?
Yeah, maybe even more layman word to put it is, can you try to explain what is Jetpack Compose to your grandma?
Why it will be the future?
Oh yeah, is it a trend or is it the future, or it will be the future?
Try to explain to your boss.
Maybe grandma or your boss, maybe
Maybe I go first. Just like we now have another language which you could use in Android development. Jetpack Compose is also another tools for your development. Previously, if I want to do the Android development, I have to first think about the UI, work on the XML, work on the layout, work on the hierarchy, and then connect this layout with my activity or fragment, find view by ID, and then control each view component. What should they do and do the update. Jetpack Compose is another way of thinking. So you use the code to declare the UI. You use the code to do the rendering, to do the interaction. So everything is in the code. You do not need to rely on an XML file to do the layout. So the benefit is just mentioned before. If I have multiple screen size or landscape portrait, I may have to declare so many different XML for different screen size. But now in programming, I could just use case, or I could just use some logic or if then else to do this work. So it could heavily reduce the number of time a developer spends on the XML, verifying the XML and debugging on the XML file. Yeah. And the second thing is for Jetpack Compose, the component defined that you could be reused. Although XML you could reuse also, but the flexibility is a bit less on XML because you could only reuse the whole component. But in Jetpack Compose, you could pass in variables. Variable, so you could adjust the real component, but at the same time you reuse the component. I should say, yeah, you could use the component because the component is now adjustable, not as XML. XML, once you declare it, this is less likely to be adjustable. But in Jetpack Compose, this is more, you have more freedom to adjust it.
Other than the advantages that Fung just mentioned, that I think the Jetpack Compose, I haven't dived into this, but I have seen that the Jetpack Compose also emphasize the state management. This is a little bit maybe reference from the React Redux model. They use or something like the MVI pattern. They use the state, the intent to control the UI change or to manage the UI change. So do you think this is also the trend for the UI development or the Android development? Or do you buy this the state management way to or the MVI way to do this?
I should say I do not work on React, but for a long time, or you could go back to 5 years, about 5 years ago, not many activities are using the architecture component or have a good management of the activity life cycle. So when you rotate the screen and rotate back, the activity may be just close and restart again. So maybe if there is a form that user input for a while, just accidentally he changed the rotation orientation of the screen, and then the application restart, and then all the data he input got lost. So this is one of the headache, and so we introduced the architecture components to help developer to manage the activity lifecycle. Similarly, this is something in Jetpack Compose that will help the developer to manage, how long should this data stay, or how should we manage the user input, how should we manage the lifecycle of each UI component, rather than, if anything changed, we just restart the activity. So this is also some improvement to help the developers.
Yeah. So maybe we can talk about we have talked about the Kotlin and the Jetpack Compose, and maybe we can talk about do you think what is the essential skill for a senior Android developer? Because both of you is also very experienced and also meet many senior developer, or you already leading them. So what skill or what best practice do you think seniors should have?
I think maybe we can start with Toru first, because we know Fung for too long. So let's have Toru for the answer. Because if we let Fung to start first, I think he will leave nothing for Toru to continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. For the essential skill for the senior developer, I would like to highlight several things. For example, at first, a strong foundation on the development skill, or how to use the SDK or other components, as well as the communication skill to understand the business requirement and resolve this into the technical skills and check whether it is feasible or not. So I want to say the three things: the strong foundation and communication skill to collaborate and cooperate each other, and the perspective.
Yeah, this not only for Android developers, maybe for all the other developers in other fields also need the communication skill to communicate
Yes,
the
true.
department, and cooperate with the team.
Yeah, I think one of the many things that when I work with developers, I think usually we are viewing the same issue from a very different perspective. Yeah, I'm a kind of like, although I always refer myself as a rather technical PM per se, but there are some considerations that maybe I would have missed even if I viewing from the technical point of view. So maybe let's let Fung to share about like what his view on like a senior Android developer or like a senior developer in general the skills that he or she should have, or the considerations that he or she should possess.
Yeah, I think the first one, a very important one, is he should or she should be like Toru, should be able to share the knowledge to the community, and at the same time not sharing, but also to absorb the knowledge from the community. So he or she could know the landscape. I know sometimes the PM or the managers, the management may ask you to do something that you think it is nonsense, but of course you need something to support. Where do you get this information? Where do you get this knowledge? Usually it's from the community or from the events. Like if the manager asks you to do something, then you say, no, you look at this most popular app in the world, they are not using this, instead they are using another approach. You need something to support your argument with your boss. So I think knowledge is one thing, and how to share your knowledge, how to get the knowledge, how to exchange the knowledge between the community or inside the community is also one important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one more questions before we come to a close to the session, or maybe 2 second last questions. So also start with Toru first. Do you actually think like Android or native mobile development will be less important when because the world changed so quickly, and then if we do applications, then should we actually consider doing like a native mobile build, or we do like use some other tools like low coding platform? So how would you perceive the trend of like doing cross-platform, or doing one development and usable in cross-platform, or you would still insist that native would be the ultimate way out?
Okay. Before turning to Android developer, I used to be an embedded engineer long time ago, almost 11 years ago. But that was before Android was launched by Google. But there was a lot of uses from the out of Seoul. So we could listen, we could hear some uses about the Android. So I thought there would be like a trend. So I decided to turn myself into the mobile developer. Yeah, with the pressure from my company as well. So there are a lot of cross platforms such as React Native or Flutter or other hybrid framework like Cordova or other things I can remember well. So I would say that the working on the native mobile SDK is also very important. So I wouldn't deny, but we need to catch the trend. If there are a lot of movements like a Google, which encourages people to move into the Flutter or Dart language, right? So we need to see the trend and also need to learn step by step, as well as doing our own development as well. And I also want to highlight that there are a lot. We should look at the project before picking up the development tool, the development SDK. What is more feasible on that? Like what is cross-platform is good, which is better, or mobile is better? Need to choose and to do it. But I personally I believe the performance of cross-platform cannot reach the limitation of the current level of the native SDK. But so I don't think it will be less interested in it will be less interested, but we need to know what is going on about the cross-platform. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think looking at the apps in Hong Kong, so many local apps are built cross-platform. But if you look at the app size, they are huge. Just like a normal banking app could be a few hundred megabytes. I think this is also why some other brand release a device with 1 gigabyte storage. But yeah, cross-platform of course may save some development time, but it may not always the best. Like it has some overhead. Sometimes the overhead is on the app size. Sometimes it's on the processing time or the UI. So sometimes you think why it takes so long to load the content out, because it is using a hybrid framework. It takes some time to render the HTML or to do the code conversion. So this overhead is one of the things we should consider. And another thing is sometimes the newest feature is not available on the hybrid framework. It's only available on the native framework at the very beginning. Like if we introduce some hardware with camera depth sensor, of course for hybrid app they may be also still able to use the camera, but the latency may be higher, or they may not be able to access different sensor of the devices. This is another thing. The third thing is cross-platform is good, but do we have cross-platform for wearable yet? Like we just announced Jetpack Compose for wearable, and of course I don't think. I'm not sure. I don't think we have a good cross-platform framework for wearable yet. Yeah, that's just my opinion on cross-platform. Yeah, cross-platform sometimes is good. It helps to reduce the development time, reduce the cost, but it's just always
揾啲易啲 share 咯，譬如嚟炸雞啊咁。
fried chicken.
Oh yeah, we are talking about our dinner tonight. Yeah, because we are actually preparing
an online party after this session.
So we are not running out of time per se, but we are getting close to an end. So I think to wrap it up the discussion here, maybe we will actually look for both of you advices on like how do we actually get started. Not necessarily start Android development, but like I mean most of the people who are actually interested in Android development or have started development, it's more about how do they obtain or how do they improve themselves and become a better developer, or maybe become a senior developer. Like what kind of work would you actually suggest them to read or to watch or to comprehend in order to bring them to the next level.
Again, Toru first.
Okay, good ratings of resources for becoming a better development, right? Oh, yeah. Nowadays we have a lot of things, a lot of resources around us. From YouTube. You can get it from YouTube or Mediums or other blogs or whatever. So how to filter that the abundant resources correctly or properly is a big deal. So I frequently go and find some articles from Medium or YouTube channels, especially from Google's one, and also other readings from Windows, MIND or KS, or Pro Android Dev from the Medium, or taking courses from Udemy, or LinkedIn Learnings, or Pluralsight, or whatever.
Yeah, for getting updates, I think YouTube and Twitter, we have the Google developers or Android developer accounts that you could follow up updates. If you want to go more technical, you could go to the Medium. We also have Google Play, Android developers, and also other developer accounts on Medium that have go more deep, go more technical. If you want to have courses, we Google partner with Udacity to provide free online training material that you could enjoy. But more important thing is you could start building something fun and interesting first. My first Android project is around 10 years or more, even more than 10 years ago. I was a student, a postgraduate student at that time in Chinese University of Hong Kong. The first application I built is the school bus schedule, because there are different routes of school bus in the campus. It is hard to remember when they depart and when which stop they will stop. So I built an app of this school bus schedule. So to tell me at the beginning which school bus, which route I should take, and which stop it will stop by. So I start with this interesting project first. So and use it as a sandbox. I keep adding different components. It's like at the very beginning, it do not have maps, and then afterward I add maps. At the beginning, it is loading a CSV as the database, and afterwards I connect to the Google spreadsheets using the Google Drive API to get the to make the update easier. So start building something interesting for fun, and try adding more component, more API into it. This is also one way to help you to improve beyond our work.
And when you want to try to start your own project, like choose a funny one or choose one with a smaller scale. Then just do it first, no matter how big it is or how useful it is. But this is the first step. They are going to be the Android developer, your Android developer career. Yeah, and or you want to learn more the Android development on the improve your knowledge, or you can attend the local community event. For example, there is Android study group every Saturdays hosted by the GDG Hong Kong, or also I think there also other GDG chapter, other location also have something similar study group. I know the Taipei also have the Android study group every week, so you can find the learning partner. You learn together and we improve together.
Yeah, I think the whole thing of like learning or to acquire skills is not a one-way road, especially in like nowadays. Like there are many ways of obtaining the information. The ability is not about whether you are able to read or write. It's more about the ability to choose the right piece of information to go ahead. And the community event or the community study groups are actually quite kind of important because actually you get a group of people who share the same interests. Although it really sounds like an advertisement for GDG Hong Kong in particular, but I think, I mean, if you're actually from Hong Kong, I think there's nothing, you've got nothing to lose by joining the Android study group on Saturdays, right? So it's free of charge. You get to know someone who actually interested or very enthusiastic, same passionate as in Android development. So actually you feel like embraced and we build the community as a whole bigger. So maybe it's almost time to wrap today's discussion or even for the DevFest event. So I would really like to say a big thank you for Fung and Toru for joining the session with us, and especially for Toru. He actually made another presentation earlier today. And of course, Fung for going against time zones. Of course, it's early in the morning, so maybe I should have asked, like, have you had your breakfast today?
Not yet.
So
I came here for the JoyCon London. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, JoyCon London is a pure Android event, offline in-person events in London. Yeah, I hope after the pandemic we could also have some offline in-person events purely in Android in Hong Kong very soon.
Yeah, I really look forward to meet every one of you guys or all the speakers in person in the near future. And in the meantime, let's stay safe, stay healthy, and exercise more in both coding and your own health, sporty activity exercise. So thank you, Toru, and thank you, Fung.
Thanks for having me. Stay safe and keep healthy, and part matters.
Happy coding.
Happy coding.